said that the three classes of men that are brought before us here represent three philosophies of life. The thieves, for instance, their philosophy of life is what you have is mine. That's socialism or communism. And the priests and the Levites, their philosophy of life is what I have is mine. Now that's individualism, may I say rugged individualism, individualism that's gone to seed. It takes the philosophy of let the world be damned, I intend to get mine. It's godless capitalism. And then there's the Good Samaritan, and his philosophy is what I have is yours. That is a Christian philosophy of life. That is, what I have is yours if you need it or if I can help you. And you see, socialism is what you have is mine. And that is just a little different. There are those that try to talk about Christian socialism. They just happen to be two philosophies. Now, I want to give you a new approach to these. I'd like to identify these individuals in our contemporary society today. In other words, I want to follow my usual pattern of bringing it right down to the nitty-gritty, right down where we live, and that's exactly what our Lord intended for us to do. Now, there was a certain man that fell among thieves, we are told here. He went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves. That's humanity. That's the race that's come from Adam. Mankind, you see, came from Jerusalem to Jericho. Jerusalem is the place where they approached God. Jericho was the cursed city. And humanity, you see, fell. And humanity found itself helpless and hopeless, unable to save itself. Dead in trespasses and sins. This man was half dead. And then he fell among thieves. Well, that's the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning. And our Lord, you remember, said, all that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. And you remember he said, when they came out after him, why do you come out against me as a thief? I've been with you. The devil is a thief, and our Lord was crucified between two thieves. Quite interesting, isn't it? Then a certain priest, we're told, went that way, and he passed by on the other side. He represents ritualism and ceremonialism. Ritualism and ceremonialism can't save you at all. Someone has said that the reason that the priest passed by on the other side is that he saw that the man had already been robbed, so he just went by on the other side. Ritualism and ceremonialism, friends, it can't save you at all. And then there was that Levite that came by, and he went by on the other side. That's legalism. Ritualism and ceremonialism and legalism can't save you at all. Well, what about this? A certain Samaritan. Who is that certain Samaritan? My friend, that certain Samaritan is Christ, the one who told the parable, the one who gave it. When the ritualism and ceremonialism couldn't do anything for man and legalism couldn't, religion couldn't help man, he came, and he's able to bind up the brokenhearted. He's able to take the lost sinner, half dead, dead in trespasses and sins, and he's the one that's able to help. Now, there is a very practical application for us today. Any person you can help is your neighbor. Doesn't mean the man lives next door to you, because generally he's as well off as you are, and the chances are that you need his help. But any person you can help is your neighbor, and anyone who needs Christ today, for he is the Good Samaritan and needs the gospel. We have a great deal of talk today about getting the gospel out, but we don't make much of an effort. It's like the little boy. I say little boy. He was a young fella courting a girl, and he wrote her a letter. She lived out in the country, and he said to her, I'd climb the highest mountain for you. I'd swim the deepest river for you. I'd cross the widest sea for you. I would go across the burning desert for you. And if it doesn't rain next Wednesday, I'll be over to see you. May I say to you, a great many today make that kind of a commitment to Christ. May I say to you, a world today is like the man that fell among thieves. And he needs our help. He needs Christ. Christ is the only one. You see, Christ can not only rescue us from drowning, but he can teach us to swim. And there are three systems in the world today, and I think there are only three, that attempt to reach man today with what is known as religion. They see man drowning, and ritualism and formalism says to man, swim, brother, swim. But he can't swim, he's drowning. And legalism and liberalism, they push across toward the man and say, hang on, brother, but he can't hang on. I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry, from the waters lifted me, now safe am I. Love lifted me. Christ lifted me, my friend. And that's the message of the Good Samaritan. Now I'm just going to have just a moment or two to get in the story of Martha and Mary to finish this chapter. Verse 38, now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house, and she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet, heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part which shall not be taken away from her. I wish I could go into a great deal of detail. We'll come to this same story in the Gospel of John, and I will then. You see, it was Martha's house, but the town belonged to Mary. Mary had done her bit, and it gave her time to sit at Jesus' feet. Martha's a dear soul. Thank God for her. They wouldn't have had any dinner if it hadn't have been for her. But she got so busy, you see. She was in a hurry. She got frustrated. She reached for this pan and then thought it wouldn't be big enough, then reached for the other one, and the pan up on the top shelf fell off. And I tell you, that was too much for her. And she came walking out of the kitchen and said something which she wouldn't have said under normal conditions. And our Lord very gently said to her, said, Mary has chosen the best part. And my frustrated, confused friend today, are you at that corner of life where you don't know which way to turn? Then for goodness sake, sit down. Sit at Jesus' feet. And a great many folk are taking time out every day to sit at his feet as we look at his word and see what he has to say. And it'll help you with your housework. It'll make you a better dishwasher. You'll sweep the floors cleaner. And you can dig a ditch better, and you can mow the lawn better, and you can study your lesson better, and you can work at the office better, and you can drive your car better. You can do everything better if you'll just take a little time, friend, to sit at Jesus' feet. Mary took the best part.